I mean, we know you're in Washington today, so you will not be at this afternoon's hearing. But can you kind of lay it all out for us on what is expected to happen today?
Sure. So the judge earlier this week in his ruling said to New York, hey, listen, what you presented, right, the initial plan that you presented made it very clear that the congestion tax will change traffic patterns and put more trucks at the GW Bridge, right? So you have all these trucks and cars trying to avoid the congestion tax. That's when you drive into New York south of 60th. As you know, New York wants to charge people an extra $9 a day, hardworking commuters, nurses, electricians, right? You're talking about $2,300 a day, a year more. And so the judge said, you did that and you admitted this was going to cause more pollution, cancer-causing pollution, like formaldehyde and carbon monoxide in northern New Jersey and the outer boroughs because the traffic is going to move. But you presented, and the judge said this, you presented no plan to deal with it. What is New Jersey, what are all these families, all these children going to do when all this pollution starts pluming into their neighborhoods? And he said it merits further explanation, right? And that's what he said. He demanded further explanation and, quote, reconsideration. New York just wants to go ahead anyway, right? And that's what this is all about today. New Jersey saying to the judge, and New York going there too, and saying, listen, you can't go ahead with this plan that's going to cause more cancer-causing pollution in northern New Jersey and the outer boroughs without a plan to deal with it. And New York is trying to basically flip the bird at the judge and saying, we don't really care what you think. We're going ahead anyway. And that's what this really today is about. If the judge is going to say you should wait until you actually have a plan to deal with it, which is what we think actually makes the most sense, what the judge is going to do, or let them go ahead.
Now, Congressman, I want to ask you this. The MTA issued a statement in response to your rally in Fort Lee yesterday, and here's what they are saying. They say the following: nobody in their right mind should take transportation advice from the New Jersey politicians who have woefully failed to manage transit in their state while also endorsing higher tolls on their own roads and on Port Authority bridges and tunnels and higher fares on New Jersey transit. You see that statement?
I mean, it just shows you, by the way, I mean, they're really delusional now, the MTA. I think they've lost their minds. You're talking about, just the MTA, by the way, lost $700 million last year to fare skippers, right? People who rode and didn't pay. 50% of people who ride buses in New York now don't pay at all, right? So the fact that this woefully mismanaged MTA, which is such a disaster, which has to look to everybody else to pay for their mess, right? Including $1 billion they lost on building a subway station recently. They made it too big. That's how poorly managed the MTA is, and that John O'Lieber has completely messed this whole thing up. And now they're looking to New Jersey and other people in their outer boroughs and their own small businesses to hurt. I mean, they've completely, and I get it, they need the cash desperately because they're so poorly managed. But the fact that they're willing to put the health of children and our families at risk, including in New York and New Jersey, just shows you the lengths they're willing to go to. I really hope for their sake that they take a look in the mirror, they fix their own problems, and they don't do it at the cost of the children and families in northern New Jersey and the outer boroughs. We're going to have to breathe in all this cancer-causing pollution that they're forcing upon us.
What do you say to those people, though, that say that lawmakers they're just trying to buy time until President-elect Trump takes office? Because, I mean, he's against the plan.
What we're trying to do is actually buy an answer to help the children and families who are going to have to breathe in all this cancer-causing pollution in northern New Jersey and the outer boroughs. You got to understand, the MTA themselves admitted this in their own filings to the federal government. They said, we know the congestion tax is going to cause traffic pattern changes and lead to more pollution in the outer boroughs in northern New Jersey. Put aside what it's going to do to people's pocketbooks and their wallets. You're talking about an extra $2,300 a year for $9 a day just to go into New York to go to work if you're a nurse or an electrician. Right? Put aside what it's going to do to the people's ability to afford life right now, and I can't believe they're doing that to families, their own families. But on top of that, it's what it's going to do, and we've been saying this for years, to the health and the environment in northern New Jersey and the outer boroughs. And the fact that they have no plans, which is what the judge said. You have no plans right now to actually deal with what you're going to cause, the havoc you're going to wreak on the region. And that's really what we want an answer to today from the judge, to say, hold on, let them come back with a study and a plan to see how we should deal with all of what they're planning. I wanted the whole tax to go away, but if they should at least present a plan with how they're going to deal with the effects of all this pollution.
So very quickly, should this hearing not go the way you are hoping, what's the recourse after that?
I mean, listen, we're Jersey. We keep fighting. We fought every step of the way. As you know, Governor
Yes.
Hochul already backed off once, and then she flip-flopped and went back, and they keep flip-flopping around in New York. We're going to once again introduce legislation saying if you insist on sticking it to hardworking families in Jersey, if that's what you want to do, New York, you should lose the federal funding that you get for mass transit right now. You can't double dip and take money from New Jersey's taxpayers, right, their federal tax dollars, and stick it to them this way. So in a bipartisan way, we'll reintroduce legislation with New York and New Jersey representatives to stop them. And of course, the courts will do as they will. And I know New Jersey and the governor of New Jersey has plans for next steps here. But this is pretty clear cut. The judge said specifically, this merits further explanation and reconsideration because the bottom line, New York, once again, you just want to go forward regardless of what this is going to do to the lungs of children in New Jersey and in New York. And the health effects it's going to have on our families. And it's outrageous that that's what they want to do. And by the way, we're going to keep fighting it every step.
I was going to say the fight is far from over, but do you think there's ever going to be a common ground for both sides?
So we've worked together with the Port Authority, as you know, New York and New Jersey for more than a century. We've had this great cooperative relationship with our bridges and our tunnels and the airports and the ports. And this is what, confounds many of us here in Jersey. Why wouldn't you work together like you always have? They're just going it alone and sticking it to us because they're so the MTA is so desperate for cash because they're so poorly mismanaged that they're willing to now blow up the relationship we've had in a cooperative way for all these years where 20% of the GDP runs through. They're going to hurt their own businesses, their small businesses, which are, as you know, complaining about this in New York because they know it's going to affect the number of people coming in to support their small businesses. But they don't care, the MTA, right? They never have. They're just willing to go it alone, do what they got to do. And I just say to them, hey, fix your own problems. Stop looking to other people to fix your mess. Don't look to hardworking people who are trying to make ends meet. Right? Try to help people. Don't stick it to them. And that's my message to the MTA.
All right,
Stop
Congressman.
sticking it to hardworking folks.
All right, thanks so much. Far from over, this back and forth here. Thanks for joining us this morning.